You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Punisher Waterfowl's The Refuge is presented by Quick Koys, the fastest deployable, most portable, lifelike motion decoy product ever invented for duck hunters.
Hey everybody, this is Kyle Smock with Show Me Ducks, a proud sponsor of Punisher Waterfowl's The Refuge this March at the Toronto Sportsman Show. Come check us out in The Refuge to see the Deep Diver 2.0, the Ice Quacker, and the Mini Quacker.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430 podcast. It is episode 217, and we've got another great show lined up for you tonight.
Every show is a great show.
Every show is a great show, that's right. But this one's greater. Is it? Yeah, greater.
More gooder.
More greater, yeah. It's more gooder.
Like gooder.
Yeah. But we'll get into that. Like I always do, I want to thank our sponsors, First Light, Real Geese, and Ducklander Calls. Great companies who's been supporting us, and please go check them out and give their socials a like. It would mean the world to us. And, of course, we have to thank the voice of the Union 0430, Captain Jeff Coates from Pit Boss Waterfowl in Maryland, US of A. Thanks, Jeff, for doing the voiceover. And I'm going to do it, Craig. I'm not going to wait until minute 50 before I bring up The Refuge. From the 13th to the 16th of March this year, The Refuge, presented by Quick Koys, will be at the Toronto Sportsman Show. We hope to see you all there. There, done. Didn't have to wait until got it done.
Negative. It's the
13th to the 16th.
Yeah,
100% it is. Yes.
Never mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of Louisiana, fighting at a North Carolina, Drew Smith from Canards Waterfowl.
Well, thank you, fellas. Thank you very, very much. I didn't see the soundbite coming out. I love it.
I know Phil is all pissed off about these new stuff. We discovered this last week or on the last show.
At least you got the right one.
I got the right one this time. Yeah,
boys and their toys.
Boys with their. I wanted to do this one when I was gonna introduce you, Drew. I was gonna do this.
Oh, nice. All right. Either would have worked. That's what I was. Something along those lines is what I was expecting.
Lasers.
But Drew, buddy, welcome to the show. Welcome back, from a safe, successful deployment, dude. Welcome home. I mentioned it on the show last week, and the last show that we recorded, that it was so cool. And I told the boys this, that you reached out to us, and you reached out to me, and you're like, "Hey, man, this is who I am. I'm out of the country right now, but when I come back, I'd love to come on the show." And you don't know how excited that made me feel to know that people reached out, or that you reached out and said, "Hey, man, I love your show, and I'd love to come on." So, which was cool because we talked about that on the show, and then the next day you were like, "Hey man, I'm home. Want to do the show?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, this is awesome."
Yeah, I was pretty stoked about it. Listen, you guys got me through a mini dark day overseas, so I wanted to talk to you guys because you guys are real people who love hunting just as much as I do, and it makes a big difference, I think, being around guys like that, or girls.
Yeah. No, buddy, we say it all the time, right? You surround yourself with good people, and you are the company that you keep, right? And that's all we can do in life, really, is just keep, hanging out with your people, and good things will happen. I'm sure of it. I believe it.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. Okay. I'm going to start. Oh, yeah.
Since we're rolling, I did want to have a question for you guys.
Okay.
I was going to jump right in because I'm really interested because you guys are hunting differently than I did. I'm from Louisiana, like you had mentioned, and now I'm in North Carolina hunting saltwater marshes. So it's been kind of a wild ride so far. My time here in North Carolina, and I was curious for you guys up north. Was there like when you guys were growing up, because you guys have all hunted your whole lives, right?
Yep.
For the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Uh, was there ever a magic moment for you guys where it was just like, bam, this is like, I'm in trouble. Like, I'm not going to be able to walk away from this sport ever again.
Well, I'll start it off, boys, just because I'm the first one to chime in, I guess. So for me, like I did it as a kid, but we didn't kill lots and lots of birds, right? Like I'm from an island in the North Atlantic. So it was always just saltwater birds and sea ducks, right? So we didn't see a lot of ducks, but we did it because we really didn't have anything else to do. Like my community was like 500 people. That was it, right? So we just did it for something to do. But my moment, I came back from Afghanistan in 2007, and I don't know, I wasn't myself when I came back, and I had spent a few years not hunting because I had just joined the army. I was living in barracks. I couldn't have a gun and decoys in barracks and stuff like that. So I come back from Afghanistan in 2007, and a buddy of mine got me back out into the blind, and that was when I was like, so I would have been 30 years old then. Probably hadn't hunted in 8-10 years. And that first day back out, I was like, oh shit. And I didn't, I was in the army. I didn't have much money. I had a brand new baby. My wife, she was stay at home mom. I didn't have much money. And I was like, oh boy, this is trouble. This is big time trouble. And that's it for me. Craig?
That's awesome.
For me, like I can't think of a point where it was really like something profound like that, because I just grew up with it, right? It was just natural. It was kind of a just common thing. Like, and for me, and I don't know why, but the earliest memory I have of anything hunting related was I wasn't even out in the blind or anything. I just remember waking up in the truck, like everybody else, my dad and my godfather and probably my brother-in-law. They were out in the marsh, and it was just this property at my godfather's, and they left me to sleep in the truck, and I just remember waking up and staring at the sky, and it's like that's my earliest memory of hunting. But then just always going out as a kid and going brushing blinds and stuff like that. So it was just kind of the natural progression. It was just something that we did. It was something I did, and it was never really anything that stood out to me. I think like if there's something that stands out of kind of that, this is it kind of moment, was actually only a handful of years ago when my dad hadn't been hunting in years. And these guys know, like I planned a trip to take my dad, and my one brother came with me, and my one son came with me to go to Manitoba. So that was the first time I'd ever traveled to like a real duck hunting destination. Like it just, even growing up, we hunted all the time, but nothing substantial, just like the one little pond that we had to hunt in. Maybe there were birds, maybe there weren't. So this was the first time I'd ever seen like, those clouds of birds, and got to share that with my dad, who hadn't hunted in years, my brother who had just started hunting, and it was his first waterfowl hunts. We're on that trip. And then my son, who wasn't old enough to hunt yet, and I really didn't expect him to really want to hunt a lot as he got older. But he said then on that trip that was kind of, he's like, yeah, I want to do this more. I'm looking forward to doing this when I get older.
Nice.
Now he has his license, so this will be his first solid year. So it was just, like I said, it was just kind of a natural progression. It was just something that was always in our family, and it's something that we did. And then that pivotal point was just sharing it again with more family again, and kind of diving a little deeper back into it.
That's awesome.
Philly?
Yeah, well, like my old man, he was born and raised in Gravenhurst. Like for you, Drew, like that's like our like big like tourist cottage country section of Ontario. It's like say 2 hours north of Toronto. Like that's where like millionaires have their cottages and all this other jazz. So that's where my old man grew up.
It's
And
the
like,
Hamptons of the North.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right, that's all right.
Yeah, like Van Halen, has a cottage there. Who else? Goldie
Oh,
Hawn. Yeah, like the who's who. Anyways, so that's where my old
that
man
must be
grew up.
beautiful.
Oh yeah. So my old man, like he grew up like the typical Northern Canadian boy: fish, hunt, play hockey. That's what he did. Um, and like it was a big way of life. Like with my grandfather and my
Mhm.
dad's older brothers and my dad's, that was just the way of thing. And then my dad, I think my dad was around like the age of 18. He buggered off out of Gravenhurst and moved to Toronto with a buddy of his to find work and whatever. And then my dad got me into fishing when I was about 3 years old, and I was like diehard fisher for like the longest time. And I remember like my very first like taste of hunting. It was like I can remember it like it was yesterday. It would have been like the last weekend in September of 1987. It was my dad and two
Wow.
buddies from his
That's
work.
specific.
That's
It was my dad and his two buddies.
That's impressive.
Two buddies from work and their sons, so the six of us. And my dad was part of their deer camp. So it was like portage across two lakes, like you were in the middle of nowhere. And it was just like a father-son weekend. I remember like we shot a couple grouse and some woodcock. I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. Whatever. And then dabbled a little bit on and off like through my teenage years. Like I shot my first grouse when I was 15 when I first got my license, and dad took me on a couple like weekend deer trips to his deer camp and stuff. But like the actual waterfowling, I did a bit of waterfowling when I was in college, so it would have been like 99 to 01. And I'm like, yeah, like this is kind of cool. Like I'm liking this. And then when I got out of college and was like working and stuff and like making money and start buying stuff, I'm like, I kind of really like this duck hunting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll never financially recover from this. And it's just been the downward spiral from there, like between having dogs and buying boats and decoys and guiding at one point, doing
Hemorrhaging
photography,
cash.
stuff now. Like it's just been just the endless gong show. Yeah, here we are.
Isn't that always the common theme though with duck hunters when they talk about, they talk about getting bit with the bug, and then they'll always throw in, man, there's just
I
so
got
much, costs
investments.
so
You see
much
this pile of
money.
decoys?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's why I think it's always funny to hear. I think all of you guys' stories are awesome. To be honest, I just think it's cool to hear people who love hunting talk about how they got into
What
it.
about you?
For me, let's see. When I knew I was in trouble, I was 19. We hunt a lot in Louisiana. I grew up hunting a lot of like beaver ponds.
Okay,
And
yeah.
we hold mallards and gadwall and a couple of shovelers. And my cousins and my dad were talking shit to me, and they were like, "Hey, we were getting ready in the morning. Everybody's getting in the truck, and I was like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go hunt this spot that nobody ever hunted because it was kind of shallow, about 18 inches of water. But I knew that there was some native grass in it, and I was like, there's got to be something there for them to eat, And they're like, "You're not gonna shoot shit. You're not gonna kill a bird."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, got it. All right, well, I guess we'll find out." So I
Yeah.
go, and then I do all this shooting. And then I come out with a full strap of mallards, and they come out with nothing. And I was like, "Oh, this feels right. This feels so good."
Oh,
Drop them on the
I-
tailgate
buddy.
and walk away, or you clean them.
Oh,
Yeah, well, I came out of the woods, and they're all pissed off because they didn't get anything. And I heard them shooting, but I came out with that strap of mallards around my neck, and I was like,
buddy.
"Oh,
And those
man."
heads are, by the time they get down to you, those heads are as green could be too.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get much greener than that. I gotta be honest. So, I
man.
was just shining in the sunlight, walking up with my gun with the waders, and I was just like, "Well, I had a great morning. How'd you guys make out?"
Yeah.
Slow motion doing the
Oh yeah,
Buddy, tell
Yeah.
me at 19 you had a fucking mullet and you were just
I-
and the wind was blowing and the hair.
There was eagles screaming in the
Yeah,
background.
I was gonna say there were eagles up there. Yeah. Oh, it was magnificent. It was absolutely as majestic as it could be. And that's when I like put him on the tailgate, and I just remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm in deep shit. Like, this is not good for anyone, especially like you brought up my wallet.
Yeah. I love,
because I'm in the same boat, dog, decoys.
I love your, we said, you grew up in Louisiana, now you're living in North Carolina. and your brand being called Canards Waterfowl. And I love the fact that you kept some of your Louisiana heritage in the name with the brand, right? Like that French
Oh yeah,
canard.
100%. Yeah.
I love it, and you know, and I know I don't need to tell you, but I like throwing this little tidbit of information out every time there's somebody from Louisiana on, for the listeners that don't know that Louisiana was settled by a lot of French Canadians way back in the day, first when it came down, right? So which is why there's that strong French culture down in Louisiana. So, you know, as soon as the first time I seen the name, I was like, what are the chances, that he's using it for that? But then when I found out you were from Louisiana, I was like, well, now it all makes sense. So, you know, looking at your brand, and I want to talk a little bit about the brand, because I think it's important to talk about the brand while you're on the show, and get you some new followers and new customers and the whole bit. But when I look at your brand, there's a common theme, and I love it, and I know Phil loves it, and we're trying to talk Craig into starting to love it, and that's the dog, and it's prevalent on your merchandise. Like the dog is there, and I'm a big time dog fan. Phil is. We're trying to peer pressure Craig into getting into it. So, so really a two-part question. Why did you start the brand? And then why did you feel that it was an important aspect to pull the dog? And I'm assuming that's your dog that all the pictures of, and on the branded, swag and stuff like that. So why the importance to pull your dog into the brand?
No, it's an awesome question. So Sully, when I got Sully's about to be 4 years old. I've been hunting him for about 2 years. And I think, as we already talked about, there's so many different layers to duck hunting: the decoys, the boat, the spot, the scouting, the clothes themselves, all those things. And when I got Sully, it added a layer that I had never experienced before. It really stopped being about stacks for me when I got Sully, because I was like, I just want to get something to watch him do his thing.
100%.
Because that changed me. I'll openly admit, like, it blew me away. Because when I saw him, as happy as he was, bringing back something, didn't matter what kind of duck it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was just him working. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I was not ready for that either.
Yeah.
I brought him in. I started the brand to go after the first question. I started the brand because I saw a lot of guys like everybody knows Shin.
Yeah.
We see them. They make an incredible product, very well thought out, well designed.
Mm-hmm.
First Light's got some great stuff. I think we talked about that earlier. Rig and Right has some great stuff. Everybody has these great products. But I wanted to, a lot of the price points for me personally, I'm like, man, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
I can't really make that work right now because we have families, kids,
That's right.
dogs.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'd like to make something that kind of lands in the middle, that it could be for everybody. So you get a good jacket, a good wader jacket 1 year, and you can have it for 5 years, as opposed to going for the next thing. I was like, basically in my mind, it sounds a little weird to say, but I was like, you know what? I bet I can do that, and I can do it cheaper.
Yeah.
Was when because looking at Shin, looking at Banded, those guys, they make great products, but I feel like I can do it too.
Yeah, 100% you can. And the thing is, like with, I don't think I'm insulting anybody's intelligence when I say this, like those guys, like that's big brands too, right? Like there's a lot of employees. And when I say a lot of employees, like Shen, for example, like there might be 30 employees.
Oh yeah.
Right? So 30 employees all got to collect a paycheck. The bills all still have to be paid. And then the guys that created the brand, well, listen, there's a little bit extra that goes in their pocket, right? Yeah. So the money has to make sense. And I've said this before, and Phil and Craig, I've said this. The day that Sitka and Sitka, listen, they revolutionized this whole clothing line. And the day that they came out with the $600 jacket and people started to buy it, that was over for us then. Like it was like game over. Oh, those silly duck hunters are going to pay $600 for a jacket. All right, let's go with this. So, you know, you're right. Like you're a one-man show. So are you going to come out with a pair of waders tomorrow? Probably not. But in 10 years, you could probably come out with a pair of waders once you get a little bit more under your feet and stuff like that. And I think that's a great way to start off.
Yeah, that's really a lot of the shirts, hats, pullovers, things I'm working on now is all for money going into R&D. Because I think to your point, like I love a good wader jacket. I think a wader jacket is probably outside of waders is probably the linchpin for a lot of duck hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And because we've all, we've all been out there on those days where it is just miserable. But if you're in a decent jacket, man, it's you know what? It's tolerable.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I think that's where I'll start. And a lot of it goes into R&D because without getting too much into the weeds, I think the interesting thing nowadays is the Gore-Tex versus nylon. What's lighter, because in our job as a Green Beret, like we use a lot of, all my stuff is lightweight material.
That's right.
Right. So you're just more bang for buck. And I think that some of that stuff can transfer over those lightweight materials while still maintaining some of that warmth and basically like recycling your body is the
way. Well, no, and you know, Sitka and First Light, and I'm sure Shen now. I just don't know a lot about Shen, but like First Light, Sitka, and Craig and Phil chime in on this. But you know, they really brought in what we guys knew for years in the Army when it came to layering.
Yes.
You know, we knew it for years. We have been doing it for years and years and years. But now all of a sudden, and I'm not saying nobody knew about it outside of the military, but they made it acceptable in the hunting world. So no more were you to Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, you know, walking out to your blind. Now people, I like to use the term, it's technical clothing. And I like that. And some people understand what I mean when I say it. And some more people are like, oh, I don't get it. But because of the layering, you're 100% right. More bang for your buck. Every ounce is accounted for. I remember, you know, I was light. I didn't have a vehicle. I walked or was helicopter or plane or whatever, everywhere we went. Every ounce was accounted for. So as a hunter now, I look at things that way, the same way. And I know Craig and Phil do as well. But and I'm not insulting you boys, but I think you don't think about it the same way I do, but you still think about it. You still think,
the improvement on the layering, because it's like been layering for years, but the layers were still shitty before. They were still bulky. Like you had your various layers, but every one was big. So you were still just massive trying to walk around, and then things, you know, that you didn't have as great a waterproofing. So then all those big heavy layers just got heavier and just uncomfortable. And
that's so true.
Believe me, I am comfort first.
Oh yeah.
Bird second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah.
As long as I'm comfortable, I don't give a shit if I shoot birds or not, because I'm hunting. So I'm not sitting on the couch. I'm not at home. I'm not at work. I'm not fucking doing something else. I couldn't give two shits if I shoot birds or not. As long as I'm comfortable and I got warm coffee, I can sit and stare at the sky for 10 hours and it wouldn't matter nothing.
It's funny that Phil says this because he's a very minimalist when it comes to hunting, right? So today I send him a picture of a 511 sling pack, right? Like a crossbody bag. And I just send a picture to him of this 511 bag. Because I was like, I wonder would fellas actually wear this? You know, you dress it up and you get a camouflage pattern and put some patches on it. And I messaged the boys and I'm like, boys, would you wear this? And Phil writes back, if it doesn't fit in my pockets, it doesn't go. And and I'm like, yeah, fair enough, I guess. Yeah. You know,
I mean, his dad was old school, and so is he. I appreciate it.
If I can't get it into my pockets, it ain't coming.
Yeah, hey, I respect it. Nobody likes carrying a bunch of shit.
No one likes carrying them. Friends don't let friends carry a fucking man purse.
That's a fact.
well, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, when I ski,
Damien, just stop.
no, because I tell you, I have a crossbody bag, and I got it shortly after we were in Disney a couple years ago, and I seen a bunch of dudes walking around with them in Disney, and I was like, that's way better than a backpack. And then I don't really have
I've seen
the
people
opportunity.
drink White Claw. Doesn't mean it's fucking okay.
Touche. I guess I'll shut up right there.
Well, my question for you, Damien, is it the convenience? Is that what you like?
Yeah,
because it's right here.
It's right there. It's convenient. It's right there. The back, like with the backpack, especially warm conditions, my back is sweating. It's hot. And I never filled a backpack. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's only a couple things. So I got this backpack with a couple things, and everything's down at everything I want is at the bottom of the bag. But at least with these crossbody bags, like there's little tiny pockets and stuff like that. So Phil's disgusted with me right now.
This is why I wear the dad. No, I'm just disappointed. This is why I wear the dad shorts.
Oh, what's the dad shorts?
Tactical dad shorts.
Oh, the cargo shorts.
You either get the camo,
get
the camo or the khaki.
Yeah.
And the cargo shorts.
Okay.
Tactical dad shorts.
Wearing the New Balance shoes.
I'm not at New Balance.
Wearing your runners.
I'm not at New Balance status as of yet. I haven't gotten to New Balance yet, but I still rock my dad shorts.
Your Asics.
Or the opposite thing with, like, from what you're saying, Damien, with the backpack, it's like, or if you're going out for a day with a family and you've got that backpack, it does get filled up because there's the space. And now you've carrying all this shit.
Now you're
the
pack mule, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Now you're the pack mule.
Yeah.
No, man, it's awesome. So no, but to get back on track, I guess.
We're right where we need to be.
Yeah, we're right. Well, it's.
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
It's par for the course. You know, but you started this brand, and it. So a couple things. So you touched on one of them, and that being, listen, you're a husband, you've got a family, you've got a mortgage, you've got cars, you've got bills. You're in love with one of the most expensive passions that there is out there. So you know, you highlighted a point where, well, listen, like I can't do $1,200 waders right now. You know, so when you have that idea of like, well, listen, I can make a coat for myself, and I can make a quarter zip hoodie for myself, and you're thinking along the lines of, well, if I can do it for myself, well, then maybe I can make it at a price point, as long as it's quality, and I get the price point down to where the average dude can buy it. Well, then, hey, listen, why not a little bit extra green in my pocket? And there's that, and then the other side of it is, listen, dude, you're still serving. Like, it's easy for me. I'm out now. I'm done. I've been done for 6 years. You're a busy dude. And
that's what my wife says. My wife's like, "You gonna sleep?" I'm like, I'll get to
sleep
it
when I die.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll get to it eventually.
You know, so my hat's off to you, dude, because to do it and to do it and give it the attention that it needs while still doing a full-time job, and a husband and a father and all the other stuff that comes with that, right? Like it's impressive, and I don't think the haters out there understand the sacrifices and bullshit that small businesses do. Like, people always, like, people won't remember Canards Waterfowl when you had 5 t-shirts and a hoodie. But,
that's so true.
But when you've got jackets and waders and everything else, they'll see you and they're like, man, must be nice. Must be nice to have all that gear. But yet nobody's seen all the sacrifices that you made for 10 years in order to build the brand and pinching pennies. And, you know, it's some people see it, some people don't.
Oh yeah, you're 100. There was one. It's funny you say it like that because you bring up I had one of those epiphanies where it was like I was in my garage. My garage is not heated right now. North Carolina is not that cold, but it gets somewhat cold. Nowhere close to what you guys have. But I'm in there and I'm cutting up with scissors. It looks like a kid's craft project, right? Like I'm cutting up nylon, trying to put these back these different fabrics against each other to see which one will hold the most heat. And my buddy comes over and he's like, "Are you making paper mache, a science project? Like, what do you got going on here, bud?" Because, I look like a mad scientist. I got a headlamp on. I'm in the garage. Like, I busted a light out. I'm just like trying to construct this ridiculous thing. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, this is the non-glamorous part that no one's ever going to ask me what I did to figure this out."
Yeah.
So, and he was like, "Yeah, more power to you, dude."
Yeah.
I was like, it's what you got to do. I think to your point, like I have very little time, so I have to be as efficient as possible.
Roger. No, and I've always said, and Craig and Phil, you guys have agreed with me multiple times when I've said it. I still honestly believe that the waterfowler is the most innovative hunter that's out there. Like a waterfowler will jerry rig the most insane contraptions that'll save them 5 minutes of work that, most people are just like, what monstrosity?
Look at the jerk rig, for example.
Yeah.
100%.
With like a bungee cord and a piece of string.
Yeah.
Now,
you're so right.
What is it? Like there's like the double pull. Like, was it by Perfect Limit?
The
like
one that's in
can.
the ammo can. Yeah, I forget what that's called.
One.
The mechanical one, yeah.
Fully like electric, does its own. You set it and forget it.
Yeah,
it's like a fucking Traeger.
That's so true. It is the Traeger of jerk rigs. It's pretty good, man. Like,
whoa! You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Philly just made a hashtag for that contraption. I forget what it's called, but it is impressive. Sorry, I cut you off, Drew.
No, you're good. That was pretty good. You think about it. Think about Mojo, for example.
Yeah.
Somebody had an RC car, and then they saw a flutter of a wing, and they're like, "Hold on, wait a minute, ain't that thing?"
Yeah.
So
it's Perfect Limit outdoors.
Perfect Limit. Yeah.
Designated puller.
The designated puller, and
that's it.
And you look at that thing and it's impressive, and I'm not throwing any shade on that because it is an impressive piece of kit to have, especially down south where that jerk rig really works.
It's a wiper blade motor.
Absolutely. In an ammo can. In an ammo can.
Yeah. It's pretty legit.
It is legit. And so you want to think about someone that's being a genius. You can't get much simpler than that. So his overhead on designing that thing, I'm sure he had some things he had to figure out and all that stuff. But he's not. It's not a Tesla battery or anything that he's got in that, right? Like it's pretty bare bones. So he's made a good product, and I'm assuming it's not costing him a fortune to make each one and get it out the door.
No, can't be selling that many.
Talking cost wise too, and like you were saying, like with people not seeing the sacrifices and stuff like that, it's like you sitting in the shop with your headlamp on, cutting stuff up. It's like people don't know, like when they're complaining about the price, it's like, well, but especially early on, it's like you had to drop all that money just to get things started, right?
Yeah.
Like, all these materials you're working with, well, you had to buy those.
And you get
to sit there and cut them up, right?
How many times I was yelled at by my wife, like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That's so true,
dude.
It's like people don't consider all that.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You're 100% right. I think it's fascinating to think, because I'm sure a lot of these other companies like Sitka and those guys and Shannon, all of the big names, like First Light, any of them, they probably have those same moments.
Absolutely,
where
they
they're
do.
just like, okay, we're going to stack these on top of this, and then
absolutely
do this. So
you want to know the ultimate sacrifice? The ultimate sacrifice is when you dream up this idea of a brand and you go to your wife and say, I want $10,000. And then kick up enough stink that you get it. And then you got to live with, you took $10,000 from us. That's a fucking sacrifice right there. I'm telling you. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I love you.
You can't catch up on that interest rate.
No, not at all. That one lives forever. That one lives forever. Let's, I want to go into this whole switching from Louisiana, switching from the bayou, and ending up in the saltwater marshes of North Carolina. Like, what was that learning? So, like I said today when we chatted on the phone, I got to introduce you to Brad Sanders from Dixie Decoys, because Brad is ex-Marine and he lives in North Carolina and South. But where was Brad from before he moved to the Carolinas? Phil, do you remember?
No.
I can't remember either. But he had a learning curve because it was the same thing. He came from somewhere where it was not the saltwater marshes, and he had to relearn how to get after the birds. How has that learning curve gone for you? Because it's got to be tricky.
Oh, it was. I'll say it was basically it was the whole pie, a whole humble pie, to say the least. It was very differently. I think the birds work a little bit differently too. Because to give some perspective, I grew up in Louisiana hunting the beaver ponds and timber, some rice paddies, but you're hammering down on a cut down call, hunting traffic, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they coming down through the trees, feet down, which is its own very special moment.
Oh yeah, I bet.
But then when I got out to the saltwater marshes, you're hunting traffic still, but you put your calls away. Your spread matters more. Variety goes further than you think. Especially when a lot of people I think talk about utilizing divers in your spread. That white pops so much. I learned that the hard way. Let's see. Put your calls away. Change up your spread. I know everybody's got their way that they do, and I'm sure a lot of listeners have their way of doing a spread for divers, but leaving those alleyways for them to come in close so you get that extra shot. Because when those bluebills swing past you at 50 miles an hour, a foot off the my first couple shots were not good ones.
It don't matter even if they are good, you're probably not going to knock them down.
Oh, it was just, I can remember bringing a buddy out there and just being like, well, that was that. All right, well, we'll try again next time. You know what I mean? That threw me for a loop. Let's see. Yeah, it took me a long time to scout. I'm a firm believer in scouting.
Yeah.
Like I you probably spend double the amount of time scouting than you do hunting. And it took me, I kind of half-assed it a little bit in the beginning and I paid for it. And then later on, I thought it was really interesting because what they'll do is the birds will hang out in the saltwater, warm water marshes and they'll roost there. Then they'll fly inland to feed. And then if you catch them on the way back, it's a lot of fun because you're getting a mixed bag, puddlers, divers, the whole shebang. So it's a blast.
What was the learning curve like? Like you're talking about like technique wise and stuff like that, but what about gear?
Yeah, that was.
We've had other guests on that they deal with the salt water and that, talking about it being hard on gear. So like, did you have to, did you kind of have that moment where you realize like, well, shit, this is going to kick the hell out of my gear?
Oh yeah, 100%. I had a lot of untreated stuff or just non-coated decoy rigs and things like that. Very old school, and a lot of that stuff just started getting eaten away right away. I'd be sitting in the spread like making my eating a sandwich, PB&J, and I'd watch a decoy start walking in the current. And I'd be like, well, I tied him down. I swear to God, I tied it. And then, it's like, all right, well, crank the motor. Here we go. That's kind of a nice one. I want to keep that one. You know what I mean? It was very hard on gear, especially my gun. I will say that as an Army guy, you're always taught to take care of your weapon. But what I didn't account for was the salt in the air. Because then I would come home and maybe I'm used to shooting a coated gun anyway. And I wouldn't put a lot of stuff on it to begin with. But then when I came home one day, set my gun down, kind of, things happen around the house, helped my wife do something, came back and I was like, oh my God, this cannot go on. Okay.
Back quick.
So
Just
it was pretty well. I mean, that splash off those waves, I've hunted during some rough water before, and when it's coming over the sides due to some chop, like it definitely, it didn't take long. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that was an old Remington 1187 though, so I've upgraded since then.
Yeah, those rust out of the box.
It did not appreciate.
Yeah,
it did not appreciate the Atlantic.
No.
Yeah, it was not a big fan. So
I started out with
a
few 870 Expresses.
Okay.
And you looked at it the wrong way and it rusted.
Yeah, but those 870s, man, like those were they were bomb proof. Those 870s.
The old Wingmasters, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, they were the AK of shotguns.
I got one still from 1975. My old man's old
for
Wingmaster.
sure.
No kidding.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
it was the OG 30-inch full choke barrel.
Oh wow.
But he since had it gunsmith and he had it cut down to 26 inches. It's not threaded, so it's like choke-ish.
Choke. Ish. Heavy on the ish.
Yeah. I would say it's a good early season grouse gun.
Okay.
Got a good spread.
I think it's like negative fucking skeet. Yeah. You got a 30-inch circle at 5 yards.
I want to know, we talk about it on this show a fair bit, Drew, and this plays into a conversation we had on the last episode and a conversation you and I had on the phone today. In your area, are you dealing with the same social media? I don't want to say hate, because I think hate is a strong word, but the same
Backlash?
social media backlash,
agree.
great word. Are you dealing with that down in your part of the world as well? Because up here, it seems that, dude, you can't post anything hunting wise, and it's not the anti-hunters that's attacking you. It's your own kind that's attacking you. Are you seeing that down there?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so. Where they're like, you'll get a variety of comments when you post stacks. I mean, I think as hunters, as a community, you should applaud somebody, because you don't know how much hard work they put into getting that
100%.
stack, or just those couple of ducks, right? Or a band, like who cares, right? Because it's really, I think a lot of people have lost scope, and it's more about you're doing better than me, than being like, wow, man, that is an awesome day. I hope that little kid there had that's awesome for that little kid in the picture, because he's going to remember that his whole life.
Yeah.
But yes, we definitely see a lot of backlash here, and it's really unfortunate. I got to be honest, like as a hunter, look, people talk about hunting numbers going down, going up. I couldn't tell. I don't know the data. I don't study it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that when I see somebody else doing well, good for them, because I have no idea how hard they work to get there.
Yeah.
We are our own worst enemy.
Oh, we are
100%. Yeah. And it's really sad too, because this is a time where people are attacking this, right? Because I take a lot of pride in going out hunting deer, turkey, what a squirrel, doesn't matter, right? Like you eat what you kill. And I got to be honest, I really love wild game. I'm sure you guys do too.
Yeah.
And it's a huge deal to I don't know, just very satisfying to me. Go out.
Is.
You know what I mean?
Now, I would, we are lucky in this time in the world, this, 2025, we are lucky, and I'm not going to paint everybody with this brush, because I'm sure some people can't, but for the most part, we don't have to rely on hunting to put food on the table for our families. So it's a very different time than way back, when our ancestors had to do it and had to put food on the table and stuff. So, keeping that in mind, the anti-hunters who attack us because we're mean to animals. And listen, whatever. That's I can get behind somebody that's like, that why are you doing that to that animal? I can, a bit of me can understand why that person feels that way, because they have a love for animals. What I can't get my head wrapped around is other hunters that attack hunters for doing it safe, legal, and within the rules of the law. That's what I can't understand. I've got more understanding for the anti-hunter than I do the ones that are throwing the shade at a hunter that had just had a successful hunt, and he posts it on social media because he's proud. Whatever his reason is, if he's looking to get likes, he or she, if they are looking to get likes after whatever, who cares? And this, I'm not that type. Like, I'm not a big pile pick person. I'm not. But I'm not going to hold it against anybody else that is. Fuck, good for you that you smashed 140 birds in 3 hours. If you think I'm jealous, you're right.
Yeah, 100%. Hell yeah, I am.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't get it.
But I think also it boils down to a lot of love of the sport, right? Like I think you're demonstrating by doing that, by going after somebody who had a great hunt or 140 birds in 3 hours, like you're demonstrating to me that it is not the experience you're after.
Mm-hmm.
So because if the experience is what you're after, then you would probably applaud that guy or girl on that great hunt.
Yeah.
So
Fair. Let's jump back to Canards Waterfowl a bit, and I want to talk about when you have the time, because I know it's always carving time into your schedule. But what have you got? Like, what's next on the books? Like, what's your aspirations? Like, what's your end goal? I guess the best question right now is, what's your end goal for Canards Waterfowl?
I think make a brand that focuses on the experience by making you better gear to enjoy those moments in the blind is the best way that I can verbalize it, right?
Yeah.
Phil had a great point. Like, if I'm comfortable, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm after. That sentiment is exactly what I want to give them to anyone, rather. Girl, guy, doesn't matter to me. Because I think, to your point, your question, where do I see it? In the next 5 years, right?
Yeah.
In the next 2 years, I'll probably prototype something.
Mm-hmm.
Then make my tweaks, that's 3. And then by 5, make the first wader jacket / like light hoodie type thing. One for early, one for late season. Then 10-year goal, make the best wader jacket or jacket in the game. Girl, have a medium level, right? Like a layer that is like, this can function as wear all season.
Yeah.
And then have a very almost like a premier level.
Yeah.
And it's okay, if you have the money and you want to spend it, you can get this one.
Yeah.
So, and leave it at that.
I think
I think a lot of people get into the game trying to make everything
and trying to do it super fast. That's
yeah, exactly.
That's the downfall of and I shouldn't say downfall. I think that's the thing that most people, that's where people quit. Is when they realize, oh crap, I'm not going to make any money for the first 2 years or 3 years, or maybe like shit. I've had this brand now. It'll be 11 years in April. 11 years in April. And buddy, I'm going to tell you, my bank account does not look like what you would think a business that's been running for 11 years should look like. But I'm lucky because I don't need it to pay my bills. I don't need it to put food on my table. So I'm lucky in that way. But I've seen a lot of people and I've seen a lot of brands start and phase and fizzle out within a year or two. And it's not because of their product or their idea was bad. It was, they just didn't have the patience, and they didn't want to do the long game, and they just wanted to see returns right off the bat. And I think that's the reason why it didn't work out for them, because it's not their product or their idea. It was sound.
When you see with some too, like people get going hard at it, and instead of focusing on a couple of items, now they've got like a dozen, 2 dozen types of products and different SKUs, and so it might start out great, but then all of a sudden it's like, well, you've got a lot invested, and maybe with that many products, it's hard to be competitive with that many products when there's already other businesses probably doing something similar.
Absolutely.
So now you've got all these products that you're probably sitting on, and now you've got all this money that you're not getting back. And then you got to start cutting corners. So maybe you put out a couple of years of good products, and then it just kind of starts going downhill from there until you're gone, right? Well, so whenever I see a small business kind of going full bore like that, you get kind of nervous for them, because it's like, I think they're going to overextend themselves.
100%, which I'm terrified of, by the way.
Yeah, but I think the way that you're going about it, like you understand that, hey, listen, this isn't going to happen overnight. And my goal is in, 2 years, I'm going to do this. Third year, I'm going to do this. And in 5 years, I'm going to have something that I can put on a shelf. That's brilliant. And I think that's the way that you need to look at it. So, and again, I'll say this, I don't know a lot about the brand Shen, but what I do know about them is that when they came out, they did not have a ton of stuff that they were selling. They had a very, very small batch of gear that they were selling, and they did it right. They made a quality product, they marketed it properly, and they surrounded themselves with great people. And now, and what? That brand is what? 4 years old, say?
Oh, yeah, they're a juggernaut right now, man. Oh, an absolute juggernaut.
100% they are. They are like... Well, I sent the picture to the boys. So the boots, the Bluntstone boots, like they released, they got it called a different name, and they got a different sole put on it. But I was reading the comments, dude, you would not believe the amount of people that are just chomping at the bit for these boots to come out.
Oh yeah, I'm like, well, they have an entire, they did it so cool. Whoever's in charge of their marketing is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
They have the underground thing where you get early. Remember, I was like, oh my God, that is brilliant.
Brilliant.
Kudos to that guy.
Yeah, and that's a revenue generator. Like you're not even doing anything, and people are paying you just to get information. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a membership. You're paying for a membership with no perks.
No, but it's brilliant. It really is. It's brilliant, and it just goes to show how absolutely, I can't say the word because it's frowned upon now, but how absolutely ridiculous waterfowlers are when it comes to new gear, that they'll be like,
oh yeah, we're the worst.
Here, take this money.
Yeah, they can't give their money away fast enough.
And let me know when you have a new product.
Yeah, 100%.
Brilliant.
Hand me your paycheck. I'm going to light it on fire. Here we go.
Take my money now.
Yeah. That's now. I have a couple of Shen products, because some of them I tried it on and I was like, wow, this is designed really well, and I don't want to make it appear like I'm throwing smoke at them, but it's like they've turned into an utter juggernaut, and they are 4 years old. To Craig's point, like they came on the scene as a big business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they really established themselves. And I thought it was done beautifully. Like, kudos to them, slow clap, whatever you want to, you know what I mean? It was brilliant.
I like the fact that their gear looks old school. Like the old wax jacket, right? Like that Filson stuff that you wear, Philly. Like it looks like what, and I know because I know it's technical clothing and it's built a proper way, but it looks like the clothing that your grandfather would wear when he was chasing ducks. Do you know what I mean? And that's the lure to me with it when I see it, and I'm just like, man, it looks good. It looks good and is really functional. That's
Gives us that bit of novelty too, right?
yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
100%.
And you know, you're playing into that history. Man, we're spending more time talking about Shen than we are Canards Waterfowl. So
That's all right. I'm just here for the good conversation, man. This is awesome. I could talk ducks all day long.
yeah, me too. But you know, I just a great brand. Marketing is amazing. And I do not own any of their stuff. But by all accounts, it looks like it's the tits. So
Well, for the price tag, I'd hope so.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, but so, and I haven't compared, but is the price tag any different than First Light, Sitka? I think
Well,
it's all
price wise, their waders are like same as Sitka.
yeah,
Astronomical.
yeah. And well, I think First Light will have theirs. I think they'll be out this summer.
This summer.
I think so.
And I'm hoping to get a pair
Yeah.
in cash. Logan,
Nice.
if you're listening.
Yeah. I've got them in Typhoon. I tell you what, the thing with the wader game right now, so and this will go and I don't know about all of the brands of waders. I can just speak for the ones that I have. The First Light ones that I have. If you're dropping $1,000 to $1,200 on a pair of waders, for me, I still need a warm pair of waders for December.
Yeah, they better be insulated, they better be heated, and they better last 20 years.
Well, so here's the thing. The ones that I have are uninsulated, so they're great for early season.
Mm-hmm.
They're great for September, October, and part of November. But the last bit of November and into December, oh boy.
Well, that's the funny part is all these $1,500 waders,
This is it.
they're not insulated.
This is what I'm getting
You can
at.
go get yourself a pair of the Tide Wees.
Well, and that's another thing, right? You're
That
seeing
have the heated insert there. I think Rushdie runs a pair, and I think my buddy Collins, he's got some. But yeah,
I'm not a big fan of having electrical components.
But you're gonna go sooner or later.
Hey, listen,
Like
I tell you what,
if I'm gonna go while duck hunting, fuck, it was a good day.
I tell you what, if
I don't imagine they're that powerful.
if I didn't bite it in Afghanistan, I'm not biting it in a fucking marsh in Canada. I'm going to tell you that. You know what I mean?
Now you
And,
just
and
jinxed
it's
yourself.
not going to be because of some faulty
Yeah.
wiring with my friggin' waders. No, not doing it.
I just envision like a car battery situation, positive or negative, positive or negative. Which goes where, and then hooking it wrong.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then your buddy's just getting tased. Hey, birds are coming. He's just getting tased the whole time.
Yeah,
Quit
100%. 100%. No, but so my insulated waders, I was going to sell them after I got my new First Light ones, right? I was like, well, I don't need these big bulky insulated waders anymore. I've got these other ones. My first morning behind the house when she was in negative numbers, I'm going to tell you, I was like, ooh, I think I'm going to walk back up to the garage and switch out these waders because I'm not standing in chest deep water for 4 hours. I'm just not going to do it. So I still had to keep my insulated. And I think, what was that? Let's see if I get the button right, Craig. I did. The more you know, keep a pair of insulated waders with your uninsulated waders.
Yeah, I've got the opposite.
Proper layering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the opposite problem. I've only got like my Cabela's heavy as shit. Like what are these?
Neoprene, the super mags.
Yeah,
Super
the
mags.
1600s.
Yeah.
Those are
Best.
Oh, those
Let me
were
tell
the
you,
best.
that opening day wood duck hunt in September.
Not so best.
Oh, there's some stank coming off
Look,
you
yeah,
when you
luckily
pull
it was
those
short.
out.
You needed help prying those things off.
Oh
your
yeah.
legs.
Yeah.
There's, in the Army, when we were doing our dive course, it was always in July, and under your wetsuit there'd be this 2 millimeter thick layer of slime between your body, and that's what it was for you on that
Yeah.
wood duck hunt. Yeah.
I've gone through a few pairs of those super mags, and they were like the best.
Oh, buddy, they were bomb proof.
Like hunting like around Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, warm
Well,
as can be.
When we were down at Long Point, I was wearing them down there, and
Yeah.
I was standing in the water all day. Like that was the day where like we were taking pictures of all the trees were just frozen and covered in ice and everything. And then that long ass ride back on the boat, frozen and soaking wet. I was comfortable as hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know what? The shame there in that story is that Cabela's removed the lifetime warranty on their waders, because that was the best. Like that was the best deal in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
go spend $300 on
it. Yeah, I bought one pair, went through three.
Yeah. Spend $300 on a pair of super mags and never have to buy another pair the rest of your life.
Well, and I got that pair, like it was like some ridiculous end of the season sale, or it was like a discontinued line of it or something. And I got them for like $120 or something like that.
Oh,
so it's like
funny you didn't win them.
I've been
I bought
those things.
I bought my original pair of Cabela Super Mags from Sydney I. Robinson.
SIR.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's where my first pair came from.
That's dating yourself, because that does not exist anymore, buddy.
Nope.
Drew, buddy.
We'll have you back on.
Yeah, you know, like that. This is the show, man. Like we have guests on, and I'd love to be able to say I give the guest 100% of the attention, and they get all of the airtime and get to do all the talking. But that's just simply not the case. Our show isn't that way. It
buddy,
never had.
we're from Canada, eh? They think we're slow,
They think we're slow,
I was going to make any Canada jokes. I really wasn't. Wasn't in my.
There's our Simpsons reference.
There's our Simpsons reference. What are you doing here?
Ralph.
I just moved here from Canada, eh? And they think I'm slow. Eh? No, buddy. It's been a good laugh, like a really good laugh. Like we haven't laughed on a show like this in quite some time. So a great episode, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on. The hour went by super, super fast. So you know what this means. Now you just have an open invite to come back on again. And
hell yeah.
Just tell us, say, hey,
okay,
I'll come.
I got some new products. I got some new swag.
Or even if you just want to come on and just shoot the shit, like you just want to come on and chat and just
a hilarious story from the weekend before.
Yeah,
okay, that happens often. So that's an easy one. That's easy.
If you're bored on a Thursday night,
If you wake up Thursday morning and you're like, man, what am I going to do for the rest of the day? Shoot me a message and say, hey, can I come on the show tonight? And I'll be like, yep. And now you got the rest of the day to figure out what you want to talk about on the show. And that'll feel, buddy. We'd love to have you back on. It's a great show. Thank
you very much, guys.
No, absolutely, brother. Let's do a quick around the table, boys, and then we'll close this one down. Philly, to you first, my man.
Yeah, Drew, great having you on. You know, it's we obviously, because of Damien, we've been a big proponent of veterans and bit of first responders, but whatever about them.
Cops are cool, not firefighters.
Right? No mustaches, damn it.
Again, being one of Damien's people, we've got nothing but the utmost love and respect for yourself and what you do. Gonna start following and see what you do. Like, can't wait to see what else stuff you come out with, and wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Phil.
Craig?
Nothing really to add. It was a great chat. Like Damien said, a lot of good laughs. So look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew, buddy, to you.
Oh, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. I did have an absolute blast, man. It's like we're sitting in the duck blind right now, which is what we're all after. So thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for reaching out and wanting to come on with us because, um, we're not everybody's cup of tea. So we
We don't
appreciate.
care.
Yeah, well, yeah, we don't. Yeah, we're not losing any sleep over it. Trust us. But I am glad that you reached out, buddy. I really am because if there's anything, and I'll speak for Craig and I'll speak for Phil and our buddy Mark, if there's anything we can do to help Canards Waterfowl grow, all you got to do is ask. And we're there. We'll do whatever we can to help you grow, and we want you to come back on the show again and have a laugh and tell funny stories and the whole bit, brother. We wish you nothing but the best of luck. Everybody, please check out Canards Waterfowl. It'll be tagged in the social media post, but please go give him some love. Check out his merchandise and support a veteran-owned business. Mostly. Thanks for your service. I know you hate to hear it because I know I did too. But
Yeah.
but thank you for your service, Drew. I know you hate to hear it, but I just wanted to do it just to fucking cut the screws.
It worked, man.
I know. Everybody, that was 200. This is episode 217 of the Union 0430 podcast. As always, we are not experts. We'll never pretend to be experts. We're just a bunch of dudes that love sitting around talking anything duck hunting. Surround yourself with good people and good things will happen. Big love. Talk to you next time.